The former tenant of our house, a priest, had died in the back drawing room. Air, musty from having been long enclosed, hung in all the rooms, and the waste room behind the kitchen was littered with old useless papers. Among these, I found a few paper cover books, pages of which were current and damp, the Abbot of Waterscott, the Devote of Communicants, the Memoirs of Vidocq. I liked the last best because the leaves were yellow. The white garden behind the house contained a central apple tree and a few straggling bushes, under one of which I found the late tenant's rusty bicycle pump. He had been a very charitable priest. In his will, he had left all his money to institutions and the furniture of his house to his sister. When the short days of winter came, dusk fell before we had well eaten our dinners. When we met in the street, the houses had grown somber. The space of the sky above us was colored of ever-changing violets, and towards it, the lamps of the street lifted their feeble lanterns. The cold air stung us, and we played till our bodies glowed. Our sobs echoed in the silent street. When we returned to the streets, lights from kitchen windows had filled the areas. If my uncle was seen turning the corner, we hid in the shadow until we had seen him safely housed, or if Megan's sister came out on the doorstep to call her brother into his tea.
Megan, let's go inside and drink some tea.
We watched her from our shadow peer up and down the street. We waited to see whether she would remain or go in. And if she remained, we left our shadow and walked up to Megan's step resignedly. She was waiting for us, her figure defied by light from half-open door. Her brother always teased her before he obeyed, and I stood by the railings looking at her. Her dress swung as she moved her body, and a soft rope of her hair tossed from side to side. Every morning I lay on the floor in the front parlor, watching her door. The blind was pulled out to within an inch of the sash, so that I could not be seen. When she came out on the doorstep, my heart leaped. I ran to the hall, seized my books, and followed her. I kept her broad figure always in my eye, and when we came near the point at which our ways diverged, I quickened my pace and passed her. This happened morning after morning. I had never spoken to her except for a few casual words. And yet, her name was like a summons to all my foolish blood. Her image accompanied me, even in places most hostile to romance. On Saturday evenings, when my aunt went marketing, I had to go to carry some of the parcels. We went through the flaring streets, jostled by drunken men and bargaining women. Amid the crowds of laborers, these noises convert in a single sensation of life for me. I imagined I bore my child safely through a throng of foes. Her name rang to my lips at moments, the string prayers and embraces, which myself did not understand. I thought clear of the future. I did not know whether I would speak to her or not, or if I spoke to her, how could I tell her of my confused adoration? But my body was like a harp, and her words and gestures were like fingers running upon the wires. One evening I went into the back drawing room in which the priest had died. It was a dark, rainy evening, and there was no sound in the house. Through one of the broken panes, I heard the ring impinge upon the earth, the fine incessant needles of water playing in the sudden bass. Some distant lamp and lighted window gleamed below me. I was thankful I could see so little. All my senses seemed to desire to veil themselves. In feeling that I was about to sleep from them, I pressed my palms of my hands together until they trembled, murmuring many times. At last she spoke to me. When she had read the first words to me, I was confused that I did not know what to answer.
Are you going to the Araby?
I forgot whether to answer yes or no.
I'd really love to go. So why can't you? Because that week I have a retreat.
While she spoke, she turned a silver bracelet round and round her wrist. She held one of the spikes, bowing her head towards me.
Well, that's good for you. If I go, I bring you something. Okay.
What innumerable follies laid waste my working and sleep thoughts. After that evening, I wished to annihilate the tedious intervening days. I chapped against the work of school, at night in the bedroom and by day in the classroom. Her image came between me and the page I strove to read. The syllables of the word Araby were cold to me through the silence in which my soul luxuriated and cast an instant enchantment over me. I asked for leave to go to the bazaar on Saturday night. My aunt was surprised and hoped it was not some Freemason affair.
And can I go to the bazaar this Saturday night?
I hope this is not some Freemason affair.
No, this is just a fair.
All right, but you have to tell your uncle. It's awfully dangerous.
Okay.
I answered few questions in class. I watched my master face pass from amiability to sternness. He hoped I was not beginning to idle. I could not calm my wandering thoughts together. I hardly had any patience with the serious work of life, which now that it stood between me and my desire, seemed to be me trifling, ugly monotonous trifling. On Saturday morning, I reminded my uncle that I wished to go to the bazaar. In the evening, he was fussing at the homestand, looking for a hairbrush, and answered me curtly.
Uncle, remember the bazaar tonight?
Yeah, boy, I know.
As he was in the hall, I could not go into the front parlor and lie at the window. I felt my house in bad humor and walked slowly toward the school. The air was bitterly raw, and already my heart misgave me. When I came home to dinner, my uncle had not been yet home. Still, it was early. I sat staring at the clock for some time, and when its ticking began to irritate me, I left the room, mounted the staircase, and gained the upper part of the house. The high, cold, empty, gloomy rooms liberated me, and I went from room to room singing. I looked over at the dark house where she lived. I may have stood there for an hour, seeing nothing but brow-clad figure, cast by my imagination, touched discreetly by lamplight at the curved neck, at the hand upon the railings, and at the border below the dress. When I came downstairs again to find Mrs. Mercer sitting at the fire, she was an old garrulous woman, a poor rocker's widow, who collected used stamps for some pious purpose. I had to endure the gossip of the tea table. The meal was locked beyond an hour, and still my uncle did not come. Mrs. Mercer stood up to go.
I'm sorry, I couldn't wait any longer, but it's after 8 o'clock, and I do not like to be out late.
When she had gone, I began to walk up and down the room, clenching my fists. My aunt said,
I'm afraid you may put up your bazaar for this night of our Lord.
At night, I heard my uncle's latchkey in the hall door. I heard him talking to himself and heard the homestand rocking. When he had received the weight of his overcoat, I could interpret this size.
Uncle, can I have money for the bazaar?
The people in bed and you must sleep now, boy.
Can't you give him the money and let him go? You kept him awake late enough as it is.
Oh, sorry, I have forgotten. But I believe in a old saying that all work and no play makes a do, boy. But where you going?
I go to the Araby.
Do you know the Araby fell into his teeth? Oh, the story about...
I took my seat in the third-class carriage of the deserted train after an intolerable delay. The train moved out of the station slowly. In front of me was a large building, which displayed a magical name. I could not find any sixpenny entrance, and fearing that the bazaar would be closed, I passed in quickly through a turnstile, handing ceiling to a weary-looking man. I found myself in a big hall, guarded at half its height by a gallery. Nearly all the stores were closed, and the greater part of the hall was in darkness. I recognized silence, like that which pervades a church after a service. I walked into the center of the bazaar timidly. A few people were gathered about the stones, which was still open before the curtain. Then I listened to the fall of the coins. At the door of the store, a young lady was talking and laughing with a young gentleman.
But I never said such a thing.
But you did. What do you want to buy?
Oh, no, thank you. I reached into my pocket and fused the coin to feel too little. How much for that one?
That's one. A few pence. That's nearly nothing.
So, can I have that?
Okay.
Oh, I have something for you. What is that? This is the jewelry that I have from the bazaar. Do you like that? That's a necklace. Uh, Thank you for your gift, but I don't think I need it. I think you should. Okay. So, I just remember I have something to do.
What's the matter? Oh, what do you have here? Can I open it?
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful.
So will you have this?
Can I? Oh, thank you so much. Can you help me put this on?
Okay. She accepted my gift with delight. She had never had anything beautiful to wear, and perhaps that was the truest thing I had learned all week, that I had been looking in the wrong direction all along.
This is such a lovely present. Will you help me make dinner today?
Okay.
All right, let's go.
And so the Eastern enchantment faded, not with anguish or anger alone, as it had in the dark hole of the bazaar, but into something quieter and perhaps more lasting.
Thì đâu ai làm 12 thêm gì.
Bị dạy quá là nãy tôi chén cho lại cái mặt của bạn ôi
I never said such a thing.